3,000 years ago, the world was a very different place. Before cities, before machines, before the noise of civilization, the jungle was the beating heart of life. Here, humans were not rulers. They were just one species among many, fragile, cautious, and always aware that every rustle in the trees might carry danger. The jungle stretched endlessly, thick with vines and ancient trees whose roots clawed into the earth like the fingers of giants. Birds screeched from the canopy. Insects swarmed in the humid air. Shadows moved quickly between the leaves, sometimes prey, sometimes predator. For the people who lived here, the jungle was home, but it was also a test. Every single day, they fought to survive. Fire meant warmth and safety. Silence meant hidden danger. And water, flowing deep within the forest, meant both life and death. 3,000 years ago, the balance between man and beast was raw and unforgiving. Tigers stalked silently through tall grass. Crocodiles waited in the rivers, patient as stone. Elephants thundered through the forest, reshaping the land with every step. And among them lived small tribes of humans, hunters, gatherers, children who knew the language of birds before they learned the language of words. They watched, they learned, and they feared, because the jungle never forgave mistakes. In this story, we journey back to that forgotten time to see how people and animals lived side by side in a world untouched by modern hands. It is a story of survival, of courage, and of fragile harmony, but also of danger lurking in every shadow. The jungle, 3,000 years ago, was a world of secrets, and tonight we will step inside.
3,000 years ago, the people of the jungle lived without walls, without cities, without the protection of stone or steel. Their homes were simple shelters of wood and leaves, hidden under the thick canopy where rain could not easily reach. Fire crackled at the center of their world, warmth, safety, light in the darkness, and the line between survival and death. Every day began the same. With the rising of the sun, families stirred awake to the chorus of the forest. The cries of monkeys, the shrieks of parrots, the buzzing of insects. It was the jungle's way of announcing, the hunt begins. For these people, life was a constant balance between risk and reward. Food did not wait on shelves. It had to be tracked, gathered, chased, and fought for. Hunters crept silently through the undergrowth, their spears clutched tightly, eyes scanning for movement. Every broken twig, every flutter of wings could mean prey or predator. A hunter might follow the tracks of a wild boar, knowing its meat could feed his family for days. But as he moved deeper into the forest, another set of eyes followed him. The tiger, silent, patient, hidden in the tall grass. To the hunter, the tiger was both teacher and enemy. From the predator, he learned the art of stalking, of silence, of waiting for the perfect moment. But he also knew that if he made a single mistake, he would not return home. Women and children played their part too. They gathered roots, fruits, and berries from the forest floor, knowledge passed down from generations. One wrong choice, one poisonous fruit mistaken for safe, could mean sickness or death. So they learned carefully, watching the patterns of animals, trusting the wisdom of their elders. Water was life, but rivers were dangerous. Men approached them cautiously, spears in hand. Crocodiles, massive and ancient, lurked just below the surface. To drink, to fish, to cross. Each act at the river's edge was a gamble. At night, the jungle shifted. Darkness brought new terrors. The safety of firelight became sacred. Families huddled close, children pressed against their mothers, elders feeding dry wood into the flames as if praying that the sparks would never fade. Beyond the glow, the jungle waited. The cries of predators echoed through the darkness, the deep roar of a big cat, the eerie laughter of hyenas gathering in packs. Every sound carried a warning: the hunters are near. Eyes gleamed in the shadows, pairs of them, circling, watching the flicker of firelight. To the humans, these glowing eyes were the embodiment of fear itself. At any moment, the thin line of safety could be broken. Sometimes the predators came close. A jaguar might stalk silently to the very edge of the firelight, its muscles coiled, its whiskers twitching. A hyena might pace and circle, waiting for weakness, waiting for hunger to force someone too far into the dark. Children were pulled tighter, hunters lifted spears, and the fire was fed higher. But fire was not endless. Wood had to be gathered, carried back before nightfall. If flames began to die, fear spread like smoke through the tribe. Because in the jungle, a dying fire meant death was coming closer. Storms brought their own terror. Rain poured down, soaking the ground, drowning the fire. Thunder cracked above the canopy like the anger of gods. In those nights, humans sat trembling in the dark, hearing the rustle of unseen movement, the hiss of snakes slithering through the brush, the snap of branches beneath heavy paws. Fear was a constant companion, yet so was courage, because survival meant facing the jungle's dangers again every single day. And still, despite the hardships, there was life. Children laughed as they chased each other through the trees. Hunters told stories by firelight, passing down the wisdom of survival. Mothers cradled their babies close, whispering songs older than memory itself. In their world, danger was everywhere, but so was resilience and the will to endure. The jungle was not only their home, it was their teacher, their enemy, their provider, and their judge. For the people who lived here 3,000 years ago, there was no separation from nature. They were part of it, bound by rules as old as time. But even in this fragile balance, one truth remained. In the jungle, no hunter was ever truly safe, because something was always watching. In the ancient jungle, humans were not the kings. They were the observers and the survivors. The true lords of this world were the animals. Each species carried its own power, its own role in the balance of life. The tiger, silent and unseen, was the shadow of the forest. Its amber eyes glowed in the half-light, muscles rippling beneath striped fur. It did not need to chase wildly, it waited. Every step was measured, every movement deliberate. When it struck with precision. One leap, one slash, one kill. To the people, the tiger was fear itself, but also a symbol of strength. Many tribes whispered that the spirit of the tiger lingered in the forest, watching, punishing, protecting. Elephants were the giants of the jungle, massive and unstoppable. Where they walked, paths were carved. Where they fed, forests changed. Their calls echoed through the valley, a sound so deep it seemed to come from the earth itself. To the humans, the elephant was not a creature to hunt. It was too great, too powerful. Instead, it was revered, sometimes feared, and always respected. Entire stories were built around its wisdom and memory. In the rivers, danger moved beneath the surface. the crocodile, ancient, armored, patient. For hours it could lie motionless, a log among reeds, until suddenly, with explosive force, it rose. In its jaws, the fate of prey was sealed. For the people of the jungle, rivers were both lifelines and traps. To drink, to fish, to cross, each act at the river's edge was a gamble. Above, the sky is swirled with flocks of birds, hornbills with their echoing cries, eagles soaring with sharp eyes fixed on the ground below. Even the smallest creatures had power. Poisonous snakes coiled in the undergrowth, their venom able to kill faster than a predator's claw. Insects swarmed in clouds, stinging, biting, spreading disease. For the humans, every animal was a lesson. To study the tiger was to learn patience. To follow the elephant was to find water. To fear the crocodile was to understand caution. But animals were not only teachers, they were also rivals. When humans hunted deer, wild dogs and leopards hunted the same. Competition was fierce. To take food meant stealing from another predator, and predators never gave up their claim without a fight. And yet, in this brutal balance, there was a strange respect. Humans understood their place. They could not dominate the lords of the jungle, but they could adapt by watching, by learning, by moving carefully within the rules of this untamed kingdom. But the truth was inescapable. 3,000 years ago, the jungle did not belong to humans. It belonged to the beasts who ruled it with tooth and claw. And for every person who stepped into the shadows, there was always the same question: would they return alive? In a world ruled by predators, survival demanded more than strength. For the humans of the jungle, survival came from knowledge, hard-earned, fragile, and passed carefully from one generation to another. Fire was their greatest weapon and their greatest gift. With fire, night was no longer absolute. The flames pushed back the darkness, kept predators at bay, and warmed bodies against the damp chill of the jungle. But fire was also a mystery. To keep it alive meant safety. To lose it meant fear. Some tribes carried embers wrapped in leaves as they moved, protecting the small glow as if it were a child. From the forest, they shaped tools, stone sharpened into blades, bone carved into needles and hooks, spears hardened in fire. Every tool was a chance to survive another day, to cut, to hunt, to build, and each was fragile, easily broken, always needing to be remade. But the deepest knowledge came not